On more than one occasion, our commenters have asked us to create videos based on the starting classes we have to choose from when we first boot up Elden Ring. After researching the Confessors and diving into their surprisingly deep lore, we decided to take a closer look at our other options. While some are fairly straightforward and we doubt they'd be able to support a video on their own, we did find some interesting tidbits that were worth exploring. My personal starting class was the Vagabond Knight, a warrior whose armor has seen better days, and while I assumed there was nothing else to know about them, I now believe there is something deeper we can learn using the very limited knowledge available to us from its starting gear. With that said, this video will be dealing in a bit more speculation than usual. There isn't much to draw upon, and we'd be uncomfortable stating our findings as absolute truth. But if you're willing to come along for the ride, we'd like to share our theory on this class's true origins. Welcome to Elden Lore, our weekly series exploring the people, places, and monsters of the lands between. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or you've just found us for the first time, thank you for checking out our content. With over 100 episodes in our lore series, we hope you can find what you're looking for in our Elden Lore playlist, or one of our long-form compilations. If not, let us know what topics you'd like explored and we'll see what we can do. This video is proof that we take our viewer requests seriously, so give it a shot. If you end up enjoying it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Only about 14% of our audience is currently subscribed, and it would go a long way in helping us grow if you were to join them. Whether you subscribe or not, thanks for choosing to spend some time with us today. And with that said, let's get back to the topic at hand. The Vagabond starting class seems very simple at first glance. They wear old, tired armor that looks to be somewhat makeshift in places, as well as thick fabrics. The years of erosion and their choice of clothing makes it clear that this armor has seen better days, and the wearer, or perhaps their ancestors, utilized this set during a period of significant travel. The description for the Vagabond armor puts this in perspective for us. Chestpiece of a knight banished from their motherland, dirty and battered after enduring a lengthy vagabond journey. The crest emblazoned on the front is worn and dingy, no longer able to evoke sentiment. Metal armor is heavy, but also sturdy, providing significant damage negation. While it would be easy to assume that the Vagabond Knight we play is the original owner of this armor, we think this description implies that the armor itself has ties to the day the Tarnished were banished from the lands between. These knights were banished from their motherland, which could mean that we are the vagabonds, banished from our homeland and finding our way to the lands between. But if we look at this in the context of all Tarnished, we think this paints a different story. The Tarnished were banished by Queen Marika, and their leader Godfrey began the long march with his people behind him. We know that at some point, the Tarnished following Godfrey must have splintered into their own groups, or struck out on their own. As in the intro to Elden Ring, Godfrey is seen strung up in the Badlands, and we know that the Samurai starting class originates from the Land of Reeds, and the Confessors run churches outside of the lands between. If we assume this same logic applies to the Vagabond, it would make much more sense that the knights following behind Godfrey eventually settled in their own homes, their armor ruined after the long march. This would explain why the worn and dingy crest emblazoned on the front of the armor can no longer evoke sentiment, because the current wearer of that armor is simply a descendant of that original Tarnished, now called by grace and donning their ancestors' armor in order to make the pilgrimage to their homeland. In order to add another level of legitimacy to this theory, we believe there's a connection that can be made between the Vagabond armor set and the standard knight armor that can be bought within the Round Table hold. This armor is different from all of the other knight sets found throughout the lands between, as it does not show a specific allegiance to a demigod. We all know the Godric Knights wear red and green, the Knights of Lanedale are clad in gold, and Radahn's soldiers, the Redmanes, are literally named for the color of their banner. Even the knights who aren't associated with a specific demigod are still part of a larger faction, such as the Bloodhound Knights or the Banished Knights. So why does this armor show no affiliation? We believe that this set was used as a standard among Tarnished after they were banished, meant to retain some sense of knighthood for those that were once knights in service to various demigods before their exile. The fact that this armor is only available within the Round Table Hold indicates to us that it was only meant for Tarnished, and if we look at the Vagabond set, we can see a number of similarities with the Round Table Knight armor. The chest piece is exactly the same aside from the wear of the Vagabond set, and while the shoulder pauldron looks to have been replaced when compared to the original set, the armor underneath of it lines up well. Even the blue cloth underneath the knight armor can be seen in the Vagabond set, even with the rich blues now faded, and the leg drapings covered with large leather pads. If we take into account their exile, the battles fought along the way, and the additional bits of tough clothing added during the march, you can see how the original knight set that was assigned to those Tarnished who were forced from their motherland aged over time and eventually became the Vagabond armor. You could argue that the helmet is significantly different between the two sets. However, if you look at the holes in the Vagabond Knight helm, you can see they're all very makeshift, perhaps being added along the way in order to make it easier to breathe while traveling. After all, armor like this was not meant for an ordeal such as the Long March, and modifications would be needed to make it suitable for the journey. All of this leads us to believe that when we are awakened as a vagabond and make our journey to the lands between, we're not doing so as the long-dead warrior who once lived beneath the Erd Tree, but a descendant of this original knight who participated in the Long March alongside his or her fellow exiles, until our Tarnished started their journey back to their motherland, donning their family armor, and after being awakened to grace, walking through that white light that leaves us within the Chapel of Anticipation. In this way, we are not the Vagabond Knight that the armor refers to. We are simply the latest in a line of Tarnished to care for this suit of armor originating from the Round Table Hold. And while the ornamentation no longer holds any sentiment to our family, the practicality of this set will keep us safe for a good, long time as we pursue great runes in an effort to become the next Elden Lord. Thank you for joining us for this analysis of the Vagabond starting class and the implications of its starting armor. Do you believe we are the original Vagabond Knight, or are we simply picking up the armor of a Tarnished who once marched alongside Godfrey himself? Do you see the similarities between the knight armor purchased within the Round Table Hold from the Twin Maiden Husks and our tattered road-weary set? Did you start your journey as a vagabond? Because I certainly did. Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden Lore.